Back to My Garden, episode 41.
Welcome to Back to My Garden. Discover your passion for gardening. Here's Dave Ledoux.
Are you concerned about toxic chemicals, GMOs, and frankenfood? Don't panic. Grow organic. Discover my new resource for organic gardening. Go to www.backtomygarden.com/myorganic. Do you love homegrown tomatoes? Me too. Free report reveals the 5 dirt cheap tools I use to grow 22 types of heirloom tomatoes, including my secret soil booster. Download your copy for free today at www.backtomygarden.com/free report. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world when you listen to this. I'm Dave Ledoux, and welcome to another edition of Back to My Garden. Today we have a very special guest joining us from Brighton in England. He is the biking gardener. Joseph loves to help other gardeners with their own gardens. He's a specialist in landscape design, creating new beds, and he's also the creator of a program called A Year in Your Garden. It's a program for worry-free garden planning. I want to welcome to the show Joseph Rudwick. Hi, Joseph. Welcome to Back to My Garden.
Well, hi. It's nice to be on.
I gave you a brief introduction, and I want to get to hear your story, and I'm sure the listeners want to hear all about how you got into gardening. Take a minute or two, Joseph, and tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into gardening.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, really the first thing I grew was a strawberry plant when I lived in a flat on the window. And from there, it got my inspiration to grow my own food. And at the time, I had my firstborn child. So it's more about providing them, getting your own fresh ingredients. So then I acquired an allotment, and then basically it all started from there. So from the allotment, I was growing loads of veg, and I really enjoyed it. I wasn't really into plants, but then my interest started turning into wanting to do it as a career. So then I decided to set up a biking gardener. The whole idea was basically to try and do gardening in a completely different way. And, just travel, I thought would be the easiest one to do. So I started researching how to set up the trailer, what tools I can use, and how I can sort of get into doing it, And it's great because obviously it's environmentally friendly and it's different. And in Brighton, it's a great thing to do to get around town. It's quite easy. You don't have to park, you don't have to pay for petrol. And it's obviously emissions free. So I just did a year doing that, and then I decided that I wanted to go to a horticulture college. When I started horticulture college, I got distinction. It really, that's when you're learning the plant names. That's when I really got into horticulture. And then I've done that for 3 years. And while doing that, running the business alongside going to college. So that's basically it, really.
So you're an entrepreneur, you're a full-time student, you're also gardening. Yeah, you don't watch a lot of television, do you?
No, I do actually. I love watching gardening programs. But
now, you gave us a lot to work with there, Joseph. I'm going to tell the listeners that we have a lot of people probably jogging and driving their cars, listening to us talk. I'll put all of Joseph's links on the blog at backtomygarden.com. Follow Joseph on Twitter. His handle is @bikinggardener. He's got a Facebook at facebook.com/allgardening and a website called www.bikinggardener.synthesite.com. I'll put that actual link on the blog. Joseph, when I saw the photo of you on your bike filled with garden tools on the trailer, I thought, you're like a doctor that makes house calls.
Just gardens in general make people happy. And the best thing about it really is just transforming a garden and then just looking at the face, the smile on people's faces. That's priceless.
Now, you're in horticulture college. Do you find that you have a lot more, maybe, experience than most of the other students?
Yeah, I was well ahead of the game, really, because obviously I had the allotment. I learned a lot about growing food anyway, and everything else came natural. I think if you've got the passion and the wanting to know how about obviously all things horticulture is an absolutely massive subject. Comes easy, you know.
Talk to us a little bit about what it was like when you got your allotment. Were you on a waiting list? Did you get it right away? And what kind of shape was it in?
Now, they say you get an allotment for about 10 years waiting list, and I got it within 6 months, and that was because I kept calling them up every week and saying, where am I on the list? And then 6 months later, I've got my allotment. And the state of it, well, it was a field, basically, with grass up to my knees, and that's where, you know, all the hard grass started to have to put all my energy into it, basically. So a lot of work, absolutely a lot of work. And obviously you learn as you go your mistakes and what you'll do different now. And I've learned quite a lot. So back then, obviously, it was trim the allotment, dig up all the turf by hand, dig over the soil, and plant the seed. And that's basically how I did it.
You had to break the turf by hand?
Absolutely, I've done it all by hand, yeah.
Oh my goodness! I thought, he'll bring a rototiller and.
No, I didn't do any of that. I just went all out and did it the hard way. How I do it different now, absolutely, is I'll just put some weed suppressor down, leave it for half a year, let the thing die down, the grass and the weed. Then I'll turn it over. Then I'll build raised bed and buy in soil and start from there, because there'll be a lot less weeds. You know, so you learn as you go along. Yeah, that's the best thing about gardening, really.
So you get the allotment by torturing the poor guy and phoning him every 5-6 months and saying, where am I on the list? So he finally gives you an allotment.
Yeah.
You break it by hand. What did you plant that first season? What was that like?
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, potatoes is obviously the best thing to grow if it's a new land and it breaks up the soil. So a lot of potatoes was the first thing I grew. But, you know, there's some super crops. And my super crop is kale. You can pick it for 6 months a year. It's like a cabbage, and it's on a stalk, and you can pick it and pick it and pick it for 6 months. So to me, that's definitely a super veg. I don't have the allotment now. I had it for 6 years. I moved into a house finally, and got my own garden. So now I've got my own allotment in my garden. So it's the best thing ever, really.
You know, a lot of people are listening, and I want you to try to describe to us what that first potato out of your garden that you had to break by hand was like. You must have felt so proud.
Absolutely. Absolutely soft with the soil. When you're digging up the soil, careful not to hurt any potatoes. And yeah, obviously, I did nothing easy or crazy. I go around on a bike on a trailer, there's all hills everywhere. I do nothing easy, so I had to, get these potatoes home, cycling on the trailer, nice and heavy. But when you eat your fresh potatoes, it's unbelievable. It's just, how food should be.
Joseph, we're going to hear about your new garden in a second, but first I want you to talk to the listeners about your business. You're an entrepreneur. You have a business called Biking Gardener.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your clients, who you like to help, some of the things you do really well in the garden for them.
Well, basically, when you look at a garden which looks like an absolute jungle, you sort of have to have a vision of what it's going to look like. So I'll give you an example. On Friday, there was this garden, and you couldn't see the borders, and you couldn't see all the plants were overgrown. The grass was really long, the patio was full of weeds, and, it's about hard grass, really. So after cutting back loads of shrubs, loads of trees, loads of pines, digging out all the weeds, turning over the soil, giving this is my principle of pruning. You give every single shrub and tree, you give it light, air and space. And so you come up from underneath and you cut all the material away, make sure nothing's touching each other, you give it all light, air and space, turn the soil, and it just looks amazing. And don't use weed killers, dig out the weeds by hand, hard grass. And then they came out and they were just absolutely overjoyed, and that's just the best thing ever.
It must have been dramatic, from jungle to garden. How long was that? Was that a day?
I did it in 6 hours.
My goodness. I wrote a note down, the big three: light, air, and space.
Absolutely. Give every plant that room, and it just makes any garden look amazing.
Wow, you've come a long way from your first strawberry plant on your windowsill.
Absolutely.
Talk to our listeners a little bit about your garden this year, because you garden for other people. What grew really well this season in your garden, and were there any surprises or frustrations?
Well, this is actually my first year having a garden. I've moved in January, so I had the first month just decorating the whole house, and then I didn't even think I was going to make a garden this year, but I did. So basically what I started off with is a little patio and a whole little path down the middle. So I've got the patio, and literally as soon as you hit that path, either side, I've got absolutely massive vegetable beds. And I've got courgettes in there, tomatoes, and all different types of tomatoes. I've got black cherry tomatoes, yellow tomatoes, striped tomatoes, they're all there, all heritage varieties. And then what I'm trying to do in the garden is, you've got loads of wildflower meadows about in the countryside. You see a lot of plants that are really nice plants, but they're getting strangled by all the grass and all the weeds and all competing. I'm sort of taking the one I like out of it and putting it in my garden, and then that plant, which looks like, let's put it away, not very nice there, absolutely thriving. It's a lot bigger, it's a lot stronger. So my garden's going to be, obviously the veg and the herbs are really important, and the side borders, which are absolutely massive, will be full of herbaceous plants. And a lot of herbaceous plants they're basically plants that die down every year, come back every year. The definition is a non-woody stem, and that's where you get all your flowers from. These plants will just flower all different size, shapes. They're just the best group of plants growing. So what's growing well? Everything. I'm a gardener, you see, so yeah, everything's doing really well. Nothing's really found.
Congratulations on your first season in your new garden. That's great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The listeners listen to you, Joseph, and you've got so much experience. Everyone thinks, everything he touches grows. He never makes a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
People love to hear about confessions from a master gardener. Have you ever done anything catastrophic or had a disaster in the garden?
Well, do you know what? I bought the patter this year, which is, catnip basically. And it's a variegated one. It's a really nice one. And, I bought it from a little pot, put it in the soil, watered it and everything else. And it didn't look happy or didn't thrive. So I took it out, put it in the pot, looked after it, it didn't thrive, and then it died, And I can't explain why that happened. So I think it just happens really. Some plants just don't want to live no more, I guess. It's quite, I don't really, it's a hard one.
You've been gardening a long time, so you've seen reality. You've seen, not everything will grow, will it?
Not everything will grow well, and especially if it's not in the right place. So whether I put that in the pack in the right place or not, no idea. So if you've got to learn to know when to give up. So if you've got rosemary and lavender, which are quality ones, these do not have a massive lifespan. And if they do, they don't look very pretty because they're quite woody. So you just got to learn and say, right, take a cut of that plant, start again, and get rid of the old plant. That has to be, you can't be too attached to plants in the garden.
Okay. Now's the time in the show, Joseph, when we play everybody's favorite game called 5 Quick Questions.
Okay.
This is where you share your wisdom and experience with rookie gardeners. Are you ready to play?
Yeah.
Question number 1. In your opinion, what's the number one thing that stops people from trying gardening?
It's hard work. I'm not lying either. It's hard work. I mean, that's actually what puts people off. And the cost, actually, is quite an expensive game. If you think about the cost of pots and parts, materials, and the time it takes to water plants and keep them going, and it's quite a big subject. So all I could say is just start off with something easy. Start small.
Very good. When you had your allotment, did you start small or did you try to clear the whole thing in one go?
No, I did it over 3 years. I had a 3-year plan. So I cleared it over in 3 years. So I cleared it in 3 years.
Nice.
And did different plants throughout the year. And I was learning, what I was doing wrong. Because, a lot of plants didn't live that well. And I had a principle where I wasn't going to feed anything. I was only going to use water. See how it goes. Because a lot of stuff you learn isn't that great. You get told something and you go and do it. But you don't actually realise that you don't have to do it that way. That is the proper way of doing things. But a plant would be happy if you just gave it water. You have to get some special feed, special compost. Just give it water and it will grow. Just trying things out yourself, really. Give it a go.
A 3-year plan. I love that. No wonder you're finding horticulture college. Like, you've lived it. You've been there. You've been dirty.
Yeah, so you've got to get your hands dirty, you see. Absolutely makes you feel happy.
Very good. A question number 2. You've had excellent teachers. What's the single best piece of gardening advice that you've ever received?
Oh, sure. Do you know what? Do you know that air, light and space that you give plants?
Mm-hmm.
That actually came from me. So you get loads of stories when you're at college, which is great, and that's what you remember. But I think the advice you need to get from yourself is quite hard. Because when I was learning plant names, what I did was, there's so many front gardens out of plants. So as I walked past each front garden every single day, my game was to try and remember all the names, to try and get the names. And if I couldn't remember the names, I'll go find out the names. And next time I walk past, I can get that name. I didn't really get much advice. I think it's more sort of, this is what you need to learn, and then you need to go learn it. And then you've got to find your own way of how to learn it.
Man,
you're
full of wisdom for a young guy.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
great.
Sorry I couldn't answer that. I don't think I had some amazing advice.
Yeah. No, that's good. I like that game. Is that the Latin names you're memorizing?
Yeah, absolutely. First I started off with the nicknames, the normal names. And then once I've got all the names that I can remember, then I went on to Latin names.
Nice.
Because I wouldn't start on Latin names. It just wouldn't work.
Question number 3. Do you have a couple of websites that are good for new gardeners that you could recommend?
Well, Gardener's World is quite a good one. The RHS website,
mm-hmm.
Absolutely everything on it that you ever want to know. So that would be the number 1 website.
Okay. And Gardener's World?
I still Google stuff. If there's stuff I want to know that I'm still not 100% sure, I will still Google. And I'll be looking at all different websites and what other people said, and I'll even YouTube it to get a video of it, and to get a full understanding of something that I don't understand.
I know, YouTube is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. You can watch a video, like when I learned how to put a fence up, I watched a video, I read about it, and then I went and did it. That's how I learned.
Can you imagine our grandfathers, when they wanted to learn something, had to go to a library and check out the book?
Yeah, absolutely. That's just too much.
Yeah. Speaking of books, can you recommend a good gardening book that you think that's one of your favorites?
The Encyclopedia of Gardening by, RHS.
Okay.
Cultural Society. That's got everything. That tells you all the different types of plants that you can propagate by seed, by cutting. It's got everything on there. It covers everything, and you can use it like a manual. Just quickly skip to what you want to learn. That's definitely the ultimate book that's out there.
Excellent. Question number 5 is a fun one. It's about experimenting in the garden. What's the number 1 thing that you would encourage gardeners to try to experiment with next season?
Grafting tomato plants onto potato plants. The principle, if they're the same family, you can do it, and they are the same family. That's a bit of fun.
Nice.
bit crazy. It was a bit of fun. And absolutely just sow some seeds. I mean, this year is actually the first year I'm properly collecting seeds. I've never really got into collecting seeds because I didn't have the land or capacity to do it. So now I have. This is what I'm doing. I'm collecting loads of sort of seeds from wild plants and visiting big gardens and taking a few of their seeds, you know. But yeah, just try and do something and then go from there. Really, better than nothing.
I was just about to ask you because what are you going to experiment with? But it sounds like you're doing it with the wild flowers.
Yeah, absolutely. So me and my friend are going to be setting up a nursery in Brighton. It's going to be we haven't got there yet. We've got the land. We just need to start working on it. So it's going to be Brighton Organics or Brighton Organic Plants Nursery. And quick overview is it's not a massive bit of land, but what I've worked out that if we grow the veg on the veg beds, when they're finished, we can then take all the cuttings in September, October, and we can propagate them. And when the time that the veg gets collected, when the cuttings have started rooting, when we take them out, it'll be ready to grow veg. So that's what we're doing at the moment. We're trying to work out how to get the most out of a small place. And we're going to do like loads of plants and flowers that you can eat, and we'll be selling punnets to restaurants. We'll be going to local, floristry and growing certain plants for them. So that's the future. It is going to get a bit more exciting because plants for me is what excites me about gardening. For me, that's the most exciting thing.
Congratulations! You got the entrepreneurial bug. You're going to build an empire.
Yeah, hopefully.
Nice.
Just plant in general is great. Once you get the bug, you're addicted, and I'm certainly addicted.
Fantastic. Well, Thompson & Morgan has been around for, I think, 170 years.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe there's room for you too at the top.
Yeah. I'm sort of like special. I like to be organic and local and stuff,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, very good.
Just enjoy it. And just keep working on it, never give up, and if you're not happy with the way the plants are, you can always dig them up and move them around, and just stick to horticulture. As I said, I'm 30, but apparently I was quite young in horticulture, and if you're not really into gardening, you will be eventually, because I'm sure everyone does get into gardening eventually. Just enjoy it, enjoy the nature, enjoy the rain, enjoy the sun, just enjoy growing in general.
Brilliant. Joseph, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.